morning, dear students. I am Miss NAVEDA SHAIKH from Brahan Mumbai Mahanagar Palika MCGM virtual class. I welcome all my dear students to another and interesting session. In today's session, we'll be learning something new and interesting from a science textbook. So let's get started. Good morning, dear students. I am Mrs. NAVEDA SHAIKH from MCGM virtual class. I welcome all my dear students to another and interesting session. In today's class, we'll be learning something new and interesting from a science textbook. Now we have already started with a chapter called Elements, Compounds and Mixture. We have completed a part of it and today we'll be completing the next part of it. So I hope that you pay attention to this part, and this chapter is very interesting if you pay attention to it. And if you haven't watched our first part, please do watch it so that it clears your concept about what are elements and things related to that. Alright, so let's get started. Compounds. We have learned up till now about elements. Now we will learn something new and interesting about compounds. Compounds are very simple to understand because if you have understood elements सबको समझ में आ गया है. Compound is a substance which is formed by a chemical combination of two or more elements. In your examples here you can see helium is an element. It will contain only one kind of atom of helium, and that is why it is single element. Oxygen, again there are same type of atoms in it and hence you have oxygen element. Now when we talk about water, water has two different elements, hydrogen also and oxygen also. So there are two hydrogen atoms and there is one oxygen atom. So it is H2O. Understood? Same way here there are few examples of compounds. Water, sodium chloride or salt, sand, हम लोग जो यूज बीच पे हम लोग को मिलती है वो sand is also a compound. Hydrochloric acid that you find in your toilet cleaners, जो हार्पिक या डोमेक्स आप लोग यूज़ करते हैं टॉयलेट क्लीन करने के लिए, it has hydrochloric acid in it. Nitrous oxide is also a combination of two elements, nitrogen and oxygen, and that is why it is called as a compound. Okay, so the common thing that is there in the house, salt, is a compound. Now this remember ये sodium और chlorine है ना chemically combined है. They are chemically combined, not physically. ऐसा नहीं है कि आप लोग हाथ से mix करोगे तो वो बन जाएगा. No, they are chemically combined and that is why it is forming a compound. Okay, which has a very different property. Sodium एक बहुत different element है और chlorine एक बहुत different element है. But they combine, when they combine chemically together, no, they form a compound which is very useful for us. Okay, understood? So जो elements होते हैं उनकी properties बहुत different होती है. जब ये combine होते हैं chemically, वो जो उसके बाद product form होता है, compound form होता है, it is having a very different property. Okay. A substance is a compound only if its molecules are made up of atoms of different types. Water is a compound. A very simple example is water, जो आप लोग रोज पीते हो. One molecule of water is made up of two atoms of hydrogen, H2O. Two atoms of hydrogen and one atom of oxygen. Here you can see two hydrogen atom and one oxygen atom. Now we have learned that hydrogen is a combustible substance. Means if only hydrogen is there, pure form of hydrogen, it burns. Okay, if you take this experiment, if your class teachers can do it in the class, they can show you that if there is hydrogen gas in a beaker and if you burn a candle near it, there will be fire. Okay, it will catch fire very immediately. So hydrogen burns at the mouth of this flask. But oxygen, if you see, oxygen that is present in the air is also very it helps in combustion, मतलब ये फौरन जलता नहीं है, but it helps in burning process. We have seen this, no, कि हम लोगों को कोई भी चीज़ जलाने के लिए आसपास एयर होना ज़रूरी होती है, because in that air there is oxygen. You must have done an experiment in your 6th standard where you light a candle, and if you put a glass over it, after few seconds the candle extinguishes. ठीक है, जो फायर है वो एक्सटिंग्विश हो जाती है. क्यों होती है? बिकॉज अब उसके अंदर जो भी ऑक्सीजन था वो ख़त्म हो गया. सो ऑक्सीजन हेल्प्स इन बर्निंग. हाइड्रोजन ऑल्सो इज़ वेरी कंबस्टेबल, मीन्स इट बर्न्स एट वंस. अगर ज़रा से भी आग लगेगी तो बहुत जल्दी से आग पकड़ लेता है वो. ठीक है, बट when they combine together, but water is what? It is a combination of hydrogen and oxygen which is used to extinguish fire. अगर imagine hydrogen is very it is very combustible, मतलब बहुत जल्दी आग पकड़ लेता है. Oxygen is also related to fire. ये दोनों चीज़ें fire को बहुत जल्दी बढ़ाती है. But when they combine together chemically, they form water, H2O. When they combine together, they form water, which is having altogether different property, जो ये आग को बुझाने के लिए इस्तेमाल होती है. Understood? So in other words, the properties of a compound are different from those of the constituent elements. As I told you in the previous slide also, कि जो elements होते हैं उनकी जो property है, that is very different from the property of the compound that they form. Hydrogen is combustible, oxygen also helps in combustion, but when they combine together chemically, they form a compound which has a very different property from the constituent elements that they were made of. Understood? Is this clear now? Like an element, a compound is also written in an abridged form. जैसे short form हम लोग बोलते हैं ना. A molecule of a compound is formed by a chemical combination of atoms. We have understood this part, right? कि कोई भी compound element से बने हैं, 2 or more elements से. Therefore, a molecular formula is used to represent a compound. For example, glucose. Glucose is a compound. Okay, it is sugars. But if you want to write down this glucose, instead of writing down glucose, we can write down the molecular formula. That is C6H12O6. A molecular formula of a compound is a short form of its name, written with the help of the symbols of the constituent elements and the number of their respective atoms. Salt, NaCl. Okay, we are taking a very simple one. Salt is the name of the compound. उसका जो केमिकल फॉर्मूला है NaCl है. Now ये Na और Cl means सोडियम है और क्लोरीन है. कितने कितने हैं? 1 1 है. Understood? अगर यहाँ पर if you go to the next one, that is sucrose. Sucrose is also a type of sugar, but it is C12H22O11. So कार्बन है, उसके अंदर हाइड्रोजन है, उसके अंदर ऑक्सीजन है. Understood? अब उसके अंदर कितने कितने एटम्स हैं? Here you can see the numbers. तो जो numbers है वो denote कर रहे हैं how many atoms are there. The alphabets, the symbols that are used, that are helping you to tell you which elements are there in this compound. Clear? Understood? How you are writing the chemical formula or the molecular formula. What is a molecular formula? It is actually a short form of the name of the compound. Okay, written with the help of what? Written with the help of the symbols and the numbers of their respective atoms. Clear, everybody? Now I hope what is a molecular formula is clear. Now remember, students, these words, molecular formula, compound, elements, molecules, atoms, if it is clear right now in this chapter, only then you will understand this part of chemistry in the next coming years. Okay, so you have to be very clear what is an atom, what is a molecule, what is an element, what is a compound, what is a molecular formula, what is the meaning of symbol. Understood? So you should know all this thing, and I think it is quite clear with all the pictures that I'm showing you along with the slide. Mixtures. Now we come to the last part of the topic that is there in our textbook. Elements, compounds and mixtures. So element is clear, compound is clear to all of you. Now we talk about mixtures. Prepare a sharbat. Now when you prepare a sharbat, you make use of different items. If you're making it with milk, you will need milk, you will need sugar, you will need cream, you will need the syrup, okay, and some anything that you need to add to it. If you're using water lemonade, if you're making, you need lemon juice, you need salt, you need sugar, you need black pepper, you need water, okay, to make a sharbat. Same way if you talk about bhel. भेल बनाने के लिए भी what do you need? So many different items, no? You need kurmura, you need salt, pepper, chili flakes, then papdi, onion, tomato, save, potato, peanuts, whatnot. So now when we talk about bhel and sharbat, these are two examples that everybody must have tasted also and made it also. अगर आप लोगों ने बनाए नहीं हो, but at least आप लोगों ने उसे taste तो करे होंगे. So did the taste of the original ingredient change due to the above process? Yes. A mixture here is formed by mixing different elements or compounds. Now this is a mixture. जो compound था उसके अंदर chemically they were two elements were mixed. But here we are making physical, we are using physical method and there is no proportion over here. We can add it according to our taste. कितना भी डाल सकते हैं. तो it is a mixture. Okay, mixture is very different from compound. A mixture is formed by mixing different elements or compounds. The proportion of various components in a mixture is not fixed. No chemical changes takes place during the formation of mixture and no new substance is formed. So the answer is very clear to the question that I asked in the beginning. Did the taste of the original ingredients change due to the above process? No. When you eat a bhel, when you eat bhel also, when it is mixed, you will taste each and every item. Okay, easily हम लोग को मुंह में समझ में आता है ना कि अनियन आया है, अभी टमेटो आ रहा है, चिली आई है तो फील होता है. चिली का टेस्ट नहीं बदलता ना. Now you can also feel potatoes अगर आपकी ज़बान पे potato लग रहा है. So in short I am trying to say is कि when you have a mixture, the properties do not change. जो items starting में थे, okay, we are talking about the items that are used in the bhel, वो हम लोग अगर मिक्स करेंगे तो उसकी प्रॉपर्टीज जो प्रोडक्ट बन रहा है उसकी प्रॉपर्टीज आर नॉट गोइंग टू चेंज. दे आर नॉट चेंजिंग केमिकली. उसका जो कोई नया सब्सटेंस नहीं फॉर्म हो रहा है. बट व्हेन वी टॉक्ड अबाउट अ कंपाउंड, उसमें एक न्यू प्रॉपर्टी के साथ में एक नई चीज़ बन रही थी, है ना. सो इट इज़ वेरी डिफरेंट. ओके, सो दैट वे यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड द डिफरेंस बिटवीन कंपाउंड एंड मिक्सचर. Now let's talk about the separation methods. When an unwanted and harmful substance is mixed with another substance, the resulting mixture no longer remains useful. So, suppose if you have any item, अगर उसको हम लोगों को separate करना है, दो चीज़ें mix हो गई है, अगर हम लोग को उसे mix differentiate करना है, अगर अलग अलग करना है उसे, तो there are different ways that you can do. In such cases, we separate the unwanted ingredients from the mixture. For this purpose, simple and easy methods such as straining or filtration, stiffing, picking, sorting, winnowing, combining with magnet and sublimations are used. Which ingredients from which mixture could be separated by using these methods? You have to tell me in the comment section below. Now, here you can see few methods here. Suppose if you are having few items which are mixed, which are iron, अगर iron filings है, अगर sawdust में से हम लोग को separate करना है तो you can use a magnet and you can separate the iron filings and you can separate the sawdust. Suppose if you have added too much of salt in the water, ठीक है, तो उसे boil करके पानी evaporate हो जाएगा, salt रह जाएगा. और सपोज इफ़ यू हैव टू सेपरेट मिल्क एंड बटर, तो क्या करेंगे, चर्निंग करने से वो अलग हो सकता है. इफ़ यू हैव पुट सर्टन समथिंग इनटू वाटर, सैंड इनटू वाटर, तो हम लोग उसे फिल्टर कर सकते हैं टू फिल्टर पेपर, या फिर हम लोग उसे स्ट्रेन कर सकते हैं टू अ स्ट्रेनर. अंडरस्टूड. सो दीज आर वेरी सिंपल मेथड्स थ्रू विच यू कैन सेपरेट टू डिफरेंट आइटम्स. We have learnt about the properties of matters and the effects of heat. These properties are also used for separating the components of a mixture. Method of distillation. It is a very interesting method and it is used for purifying and separating substance, okay, separating a mixture. So let us see how it is done. It can be done in your class, in your school also, in your science laboratory. For that, a conical flask is used, and there is a round bottom flask which is used, which has salt water in it. Okay, so you have to take some salt water in a round bottom flask, arrange the apparatus as shown in the figure. You have to start heating the liquid in the flask placed on the wire gauze. If you observe the conical flask, now conical flask is this pink color part. I'll just mark and show you. This is the conical flask, okay, and this is the round bottom flask. Slowly you will observe that there are water droplets which are falling into the conical flask. Now where is this water coming from? The salt water in the round bottom flask boils when it is heated. You have seen in your house also, when you start to heat water, it starts to boil after some time, and after boiling you will find that there are vapors which is formed. So ये जो vapors है, this also carries water in it. We have studied in the beginning. When the vapor passes through the inclined tube, this is the inclined tube, okay, this blue portion, this is the inclined tube. Now this inclined tube के through जब ये vapors गुजरती है, when it passes, these vapors, okay, coming from the water, when it passes through the inclined tube, it cools down. It gets cooled due to the surrounding cold water and condenses to form water. Condense मतलब वो ठंडी होकर vapors convert into water. Thus the drops falling into the conical flask are of the water from the salt solution in the round bottom flask. Once this entire solution boils, पूरा पानी जब भाप बन जाता है ना, तो you will find कि जो water droplets form हुए वो conical flask में चले जाएंगे, and in the round bottom flask only white residues will be left behind. That white residue is nothing but the salt. The salt remains behind at the bottom of the round bottom flask when all the water has collected in the conical flask. This method is called distillation. Distillation is also used for purification of impure liquids. Okay, तो आप लोग का जो पानी हम लोग घर में इस्तेमाल करते हैं, this is not that, okay, this is not distillation. We just boil it and we filter it and then use it. But when we talk about purification of water and any other impure liquid, फॉर एग्ज़ाम्पल जब हमारे जो बिस्लरी की बॉटल्स हम लोग यूज़ करते हैं, प्योरीफाइड एक्वाफिना एंड ऑल दैट कैंडी बॉटल्स दैट यू ड्रिंक वाटर फ्रॉम, दैट this method is used basically there, okay, so that all impurities are left behind and pure water is sent to you without any impurities. Understood? So this is one of the method which is used to separate two things, and this is also used in method of separation using separating funnel. This method basically works on a very simple technique which you use in your day-to-day life also. When a mixture of two immiscible liquid, immiscible मतलब completely dissolve नहीं होते जो, ठीक है, is left undisturbed, उससे अगर हम लोग एक जगह पे छोड़ देंगे, like पानी के अंदर अगर हम लोग if you are using water and kerosene or oil, if you mix it, they do not mix completely. If you keep it aside, you will find that नीचे आप लोगों को पानी दिखेगा और ऊपर oil या फिर kerosene दिखेगा. So the heavier of the liquid remains below and the lighter liquid floats on it. Two liquids in a mixture can be separated by making use of this property. Okay, so this is what is separating funnel. जो structure दिख रहा है ना, this is a separating funnel. Okay, this is a separating funnel. This is a stopcock. This is water. You can see kerosene oil, and this is the separating funnel. And below there, here it is the beaker, जिसके अंदर water हम लोग separate कर सकते हैं. See here, ये method किस लिए use कर सकते हैं? When two things are not mixing together completely. ठीक है, water will remain water and the kerosene oil will remain kerosene oil, and it will be, they will have a different layer. Pour a mixture of kerosene and water into a separating funnel with its stopcock closed, बंद करके. Close the stopper. Fix the separating funnel firmly on a stand. Leave the mixture in the funnel undisturbed for a while. You should not disturb it, you should keep it as it is. Water will remain below and kerosene will float on it. Okay, this much is clear to all of you. This can be done easily. Now, without shaking the funnel, you don't have to shake the funnel because water and oil has already been separated. You have to open the stop cork to collect the water at the bottom of the funnel in a beaker. Slowly you have to start opening the stop cork and you have to be very careful ताकि उसमें drop by drop ही गिरे, ना कि वो एक साथ पूरा liquid गिर जाए. Okay, not like the कूलर का जो हम लोगों के घरों में जो टैप्स होते हैं वैसे नहीं कि हम लोग ज़ोर से पूरा एक साथ खोल दिया और पानी कलेक्ट कर लिया. नो, इट हैज़ टू बी ओपन स्लोली so that drop by drop the water gets collected. Close the stop cork when all the water is collected in the beaker. Now kerosene and water are separated. So this is one of the methods of separation. Where can it be used? It can be used where two liquids which are not completely dissolved or do not mix together completely, immiscible liquids. Understood the meaning of immiscible? Method of centrifugation. This is one of the very interesting method and it is where it is used. I'll explain you in the end. Okay, turbid water, ink, milk, buttermilk, blood are mixtures of liquids and insoluble solids. When turbid water is kept undisturbed for a while, मतलब कभी धुंधला पानी होता है ना, गंदा पानी होता है, which has impurities in it, insoluble solids. Okay, the soil particles in it slowly settles on the bottom. The particles of milk or ink, however, do not settle even on being left undisturbed. This is because the particles of the solid in such mixtures, being very tiny and light, remain evenly distributed in the liquid. These particles cannot be separated from the liquid even by methods like filtrations or settling. Settling means अगर कोई substance को, कोई liquid को रख देते हैं ना थोड़े time के लिए, तो you will find that whatever impurity is there, it settles to the bottom. Even if you see in your house the normal water that you use for bathing also, what you do is take a bucket of water or take a mug of water and fill it and keep it aside for 2-3 days. Okay, if you keep it for 2 days also, no, you will notice when you pour the water, you will find that little bit of black particles or not particles, you will see a layer, okay, of something turbid which has settled down. Okay, so that is the insoluble solid which is there. This is because of the particles of the solid in such mixtures have distributed evenly. इतने अच्छी तरीके से वो mix हो जाते हैं ना, they are very tiny, they are very fine, so they remain distributed in the liquid. So if you want to remove these particles, then centrifugation is done. When the tubes connected to the disc rotate, here you can see this is the tube, it is connected to a high speed disc. A force is generated. Here you can see how they are moving. A force is generated which pushes the particles away from the center. As a result, the solid particles in the mixture in the test tube collects at the bottom of the tubes and thereby separated from the liquid. So this is normally done in chemistry labs. Okay, but for separating your blood के अंदर हमारे जो चीज़ें होती है ना, प्रेजेंट होती है, प्लेटलेट्स है, CBC है, WBC, there are so many things which is present in our blood, hemoglobin है, so all these things are insoluble solids which are present in your blood. So this method of centrifugation is used. Manually नहीं किया जाता अभी. Now there are electrical methods. Electric centrifuge are also used to separate the particles. Okay, and then they could be studied easily. Method of chromatography is also one of the ways where you can find separation का एक और एक method है. If two or more substances are dissolved in small proportions in the same solution, these substances are separated from each other by means of chromatography. This method is used in pharmaceutical science, factories and scientific laboratories for detecting new ingredients and for identifying and separating components of a mixture. Now this is what a chromatography setup looks like. Take some water in a beaker. Take a rectangular piece of filter paper. Put one spot of blue ink on it, about 2 centimeter away from the edge, मतलब नीचे से थोड़ा ऊपर. Keep this paper upright in the water in the beaker. Place a lid on the beaker. After some time, the spot of the ink is seen to have risen and collected at a particular height. You will find that this ink ऊपर ऊपर चढ़ती जाती है. If there are two or more constituents of different colors in the ink, they will be seen to have risen to different heights due to their different colors and thus appear distinct from each other. This experiment can be done using a chalk stick instead of the filter paper also. Now this is how the chromatography works. You can see this filter paper, एक line draw की गई है and above that there is a small dot which has been ink has been dropped. Now if you put it in the water, you will find that it will rise up at different levels. Different colors उसके अंदर है, तो it will rise accordingly and you can come to know how chromatography, how many different types of liquids were there or ink was being used in it. In this method of separation called chromatography, two properties of substances are used. These are the solubility of the substance in the solvent that moves up and the ability of the substance to stick to the stationary filter paper, that is the ink. These properties are mutually opposite and are different for different substances. As a result, all the components of the mixture do not rise all the way to the upper end of the filter paper but remain behind at different heights. Now for homework, you have to make a table, or you can write it in the comment section also. Which of the following are mixtures? Water, sharbat, iron, steel, coal, air, salt, copper, brass, soil. Okay, so you can pause the video, take down the question and answer in the comment section below. I hope this part of the chapter was quite clear to all my students. Till then, thank you. If you like the session, please do not forget to subscribe to our channel so that you can share and view the videos that we had today for you. And please do not forget to hit the bell icon so that you remain updated with all the latest videos that we'll be making for our dear students. This session was quite useful to you. In the next coming period, we'll learn something new and interesting. Till then, thank you.